Hello and welcome to GameMaker for Beginners. In this week's episode of GameMaker for Beginners, we're going to be looking at our platform game again, and we're going to be looking at how to create an animated sprite. Now, if you tuned in last week, you'll know that we created a gravity system in our 2D game, and this is what we'd created by the end. We've got a very simple level with an avatar that we can move around, so we can move it left and right, and we can make it jump up and down. And that's as far as we got last week, and it's the mechanics of the game are sound at the moment. But what's missing is the graphical look of the game. So we haven't got a good looking avatar, we haven't got a good looking sprite, and what I want to do today is create that sprite and make it animated so that it appears to be doing something. Now, animation is where we add the look of motion and life to something. So it could be a running sprite, a jumping sprite, they could be sliding, as long as they look like they're actually animated. So I'm going to close that down. The way we're going to do that is we're going to create something called a sprite sheet. Now, a sprite sheet is a series of images that when we put them all together and play them one after another, it creates the illusion of movement, much like video. And here we've got an example of a sprite sheet that I made earlier. And as we can see, a sprite sheet is simply one image pasted after another in the sequential order that they're going to be played. And as you can see, when these are played one after another, it will make it look like our sprite is running. And that's what we want. So I'm going to close that down. What we're going to do to create that sprite sheet first is we're going to use a great website called Stitches. If I open up Stitches, we can see here Stitches is a HTML sprite sheet generator that is created by Matthew Cobbs in concert with the open source community at GitHub. So this is all Matthew Cobbs and GitHub's work, the community at GitHub's, and we're going to have a look at how we can use this great website to create our sprite sheets. Previous to this, what I've done is I've already made, I'm going to open up here, I've already made lots of images. So you could do these hand drawn, you could do them in Photoshop, you could even make them in GIMP, which is a free online image manipulation tool, which is great. I've rendered out these from Blender, which is a great free 3D piece of software that I've also got a series of YouTube tutorials for. And I've created these images already, so all of them are standalone images, one frame at a time of the person running. And I've got quite a few of these. I think I've got about 20 of them, 20, 30 of these images. And there they are. So once you've created your images in Photoshop and they're all ready to go and they're all saved as separate image files, what we're going to do is go to Stitches and we're going to click the open button on Stitches. We're going to navigate to where we've saved these images. Now I've saved mine in my documents here. Test dummy. Let's just have a look. There they are. So once you've found the images that you're going to use, go through, highlight them all, and click open. So I click the open button on Stitches there, navigate to the folder where they were stored, selected them all by holding down the shift key and clicking on the last one, and there we go, and there's all my images one after another. Perfect. Excellent. The only thing I'd say is I'm going to go into my settings, and in my settings here I can change how they're laid out, whether they're vertical, horizontal, compact. And another thing I can do is change the padding. Now if we have a look at the sprite sheet in the background here, padding is the distance that is between each picture. So each of these, one after another, is a single picture. The distance between them is called padding, and it's measured in pixels. If I move my padding up, we can see that there's a distance between them. It's very important for GameMaker that we don't have any padding between our images. We want all our images to be stacked back to back with no space, so no padding between them. So to do that, go into your settings, and in the padding section, make sure that you've got 0 underneath pixels. And you can do that by typing it in or using the up and down key. When that's done and you're happy with it, we can click save. I'm going to get rid of this image here. I think if I click close there, if I click the image that we don't want, this one here, I don't want this one, so I'm going to click on it, left click, and then click delete, and there we go, and it's closed that gap. Perfect. Excellent. I'm very happy with that. And when you're happy and you've got it all sorted, click downloads, and then once you click download, click sprite sheet. So we're going to download that sprite sheet now. That's perfect. Excellent. So we've now made our sprite sheet and we've downloaded it. The next part is we need to open up GameMaker. We're going to create a new sprite. And in our sprite we're going to go into Edit Sprite, go into File and go Create from Strip. Once we do that, navigate to where we've just saved our sprite sheet. So I've just saved mine, and here we go, number 5 I think it is. Click the sprite sheet that you've just saved, and there's a button here that says Remove Background. Tick the Remove Background box. What we want is we want a transparent background for our sprite sheet. So it's worked out that all the grey background on my sprite sheet should be invisible as I've ticked Remove Background. Click Open, and there we go. We can see our sprite sheet laid out there, and it's looking perfect. Excellent stuff. Right, now we have to figure out how many images we've got. I think I've got about 30. So type number of images 30. Images per row. All of my images are on one row. It might be that your sprite sheet goes over 3 or 4 rows. Type in how many images per row, so I'm going to go 30 there. Now you need to know how big each image is. Now I know, because I've rendered these out, that my images are 64 pixels by 64, so in image width I'm going to type 64, and in image height I'm going to type 64 as well. And let's have a look, see where that takes us to. There we go, and we can see I've got a couple of extra bits in there, so let's type in 28, and there we go. Brilliant stuff. Excellent. In fact, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22. I'm going to go through because I know that I'm not going to need all of these. There we go, 22 images. And that's all I want it up to. I don't want those images there on my sprite sheet. I'm not so bothered about them for this tutorial. And if I tick Show Preview, there we go. We can see there's my animated sprite. Click Center and click OK. So that's sprite 6. That's my animated sprite there. Now I need to add it to my avatar. To do that, I'm going to go into Avatar. I'm going to tick the sprite button here, and I'm going to choose sprite number 6, which is my new sprite, my animated sprite, and that will make the sprite my avatar. But the problem I'm going to have is if I click OK, when I preview the level, my sprite's facing the right at the moment, so it's facing towards the right. When I move right, it's going to look like he's running right, but when I move left, as we'll see in a second, he's still going to be facing right, and that's because I haven't told GameMaker that when I press the left key, it needs to flip my sprite on its horizontal axis to face the other way. And we'll see that now. So here's my animated sprite. He's moving right, looks fine, but then when I move left, he's still facing to the right as I move left. To change the direction that the avatar is facing, what I'm going to do is go Add Event, and I'm going to make a keyboard event for left, and I'm going to make a keyboard event for right. And what I need to do is I need to say for the left keyboard event, so when I press left on the keyboard, and then go down to main 1 on the submenu for the actions, and the second sprite icon here that's got the green sprite icon and the white arrows, drag that across and change the X scale to -1. That's going to flip, or that's going to rescale it, so our object is now facing to the left, and click OK. And for the right, again, drag over that same transform sprite icon and just click OK with the default settings. So now when I press left, it's going to flip it to the left, and when I press right, it's going to flip it back to the right. There we go. I'm going to add in one more thing. I'm also going to add an event here, and that event is going to be, I'm going to say when no key is pressed. And what I need to do now is on my sprite sheet, if we have a look through, this little arrow here will take me through the images from my sprite sheet. On about image 21, there we go, image 21, we see my sprite is standing still. So what I want to do is click OK. So now I know image 21 on my sprite sheet is where my avatar is standing still. I want to say when no key is pressed, my sprite appears to be standing still. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag across the normal sprite icon, the change sprite icon. I'm going to say the sprite is sprite 6. Sub-image, now we just said image 21 on my sprite sheet was him standing still, so sub-image 21, and I'm going to put speed as 0 because he's not moving. So what's going to happen is when no key is pressed, my sprite is going to be changed to sub-image 21, and there we go, and click OK. We're also going to do that for left and right, because if 21 is where he's standing still, we don't want the running sprite to have the bit where he's standing still in the animation. So I'm going to drag that across to the left key event. I'm going to tick sprite 6 for change sprite, and I'm going to go subimage 1 to 20 at speed 1. Now I'm going to right click that and click copy, and I'm going to add that to my right keyboard event. So just to reiterate, what I've just done there with left and right is I've just added the change sprite action to say that when we press the left key button, we flip the sprite by transforming it to the left, and then we change the sprite so that it only shows subimages 1 to 20 and it plays them at a speed of 1. So if we tick OK and then preview our level now, what we should be able to see now is that we've created our sprite sheet, and that when we move left, he turns towards the left, and when we stop, he stops moving, and it looks like he's just stood there because we've selected a subimage from our sprite sheet, and we said, right, subimage 21, the sprite sheet is just stood still, so when we press no key, it looks like he's just stood still. Perfect! And we can see straight away as we preview the game level, he's just stood there, he's not going anywhere, but when we move the keyboard to the right, he looks like he's going right, and here's the moment of truth. If we press the left key, he faces left. Perfect! Excellent stuff. There we go, and that's how we create a sprite sheet, and that's how we say when we're pressing certain keys that it shows certain images off the sprite sheet. So even though the sprite sheet contains many images, our animations don't have to show all of them. We can set specific parts of our sprite sheet for specific key actions, like left key, show sprites 1 to 10, right key, show sprites 10 to 20. If we press no key, show sprite subimage number 21 or 30, whatever it is you want. And it's as simple as that. So, good luck. I hope you have fun using sprite sheets. Remember Stitches, which is the excellent website made by Matthew Cobb and the GitHub community, is at drayton.github.io/stitches/. Go on there, use it. It's a wonderful website, very, very useful for GameMaker, and I look forward to seeing some of your work in the near future. Thank you very much for watching.